Hey everybody, Shay here, and it's time to get back to doing TBRs. The great thing about a TBR video is that it allows me to say the stuff that I plan to read, and it holds me accountable to trying to get this stuff read so I can come back to you and give you my thoughts about the experience along the way. Or in some cases, be able to do review videos or possibly like a reading vlog video kind of mix. I don't know, I'm kind of playing with some ideas in the back of my mind while I push through these. A lot of these books are going to be older books that I've been sitting on my shelf begging to be read. Some of them I found at the thrift shop along the way. The first one I'll mention because I'm currently in the midst of reading it is The Wildcard Volume 1, edited by George R.R. Martin, and there's a bunch of other sci-fi writers that are in the mix there. This is what they call a mosaic style of writing, and I read this 30 years ago. I've got all of the books in this collection, except for the modern ones that came out in the last, I'd say 4 years or something like that. I'm still kind of catching up on the new ones because I still have to read the 14 plus that I have from like years ago, decades ago. Anyways, I read this as a teenager in the 90s. I had faint memories of snippets of the chapters that I reread now because I'm about halfway through the book as of today. I read another 25% of the book, a couple more short stories. And in the past, I read that the way that this is formatted is what they call a mosaic, and I'm pretty sure that's still going to be on the Wikipedia page. This was years ago, but I'm sure they're going to be still talking about this. While reading this, I was wondering, like, why is it the mosaic format though? Like, I kind of knew what the meaning was, and I should have looked it up before talking about it right now, but I'm going to say what I feel like it was after reading halfway through and triggering all those memories from 30 years ago. You have this alternate reality America where this alien germ bomb goes off that creates aces and jokers, people that have powers but are human looking, and then the ones that get deformed, and then a bunch of them just die. People just die. And I was trying to think about how mosaic fit into how I was reading this and how the pieces that were coming together. And it was more like, for me, it was more like links in a chain. Is that one story by one author is telling a story of a character or characters in an event, maybe in a year, in a moment of time, and then it's just enough is seeded for the next author to then take just the seed, and then it's the short story that expands on maybe a seed that came before, or not maybe, sort seeds that came before, and then they seed something, and then the next author with the next story with the next character in the next decade or a couple years later, it kind of carries a bit of that seed forward. And there's a continuity in the progression of the world, but each story is effectively a standalone story. You could just read the standalone story, but if you read them in continuity of the book and the way that George R. R. Martin has put these together, it very much feels very orchestrated so that you have this continuity of this alternate history as it moves along. And reading this 30 years later as an adult, I'm picking up on so much more that I don't know if I just forgot about, or my 16-year-old brain just didn't wrap around a lot of the concepts that are in here. If you think of the Game of Thrones type of writing, but now apply that to modern day alternate history, superhero, mutant kind of situations, but think of it like all the things you might remember about the Game of Thrones, it's maybe also there's an influence of that kind of vibe in here. I don't know if I made sense of that. Anyways, this is a TBR video, not another review, partial review. As I read this should have been a vlog because each of these stories, they've been so good. Anyways, I'm gonna move on. This is a TBR video, damn it. Anyways, so the next one that I started reading months ago, just because I wanted to analyze the author's style, was Brandon Sanderson's The Mistborn Saga trilogy. I'm not sure what the term is for this. In any case, I got all three books that I got from the thrift shop back in the day. I got very lucky because these are in really good condition. They're basically in perfect condition. I read these 80 pages in one sitting, as I talked about in past vlogs. I do intend to finish this entire book April, but looking at the page count, it's almost 700 pages. I almost pulled out the entire trilogy, and I was like, that might be too much because each of them is about 700, 800 pages. And I was like, I can probably do it if I really commit, because I remember reading this in like an hour. So it was a pretty fast page read count, page per minute count, which I hadn't anticipated, but it's true. It's just, it really flies. I was really invested and just like clipped along. So I was like, I don't know, like, so 7 hours, 8 hours, I don't think I could do that straight, right? I mean, that sounds crazy. Sometimes I am. The point is, I might need a break because I like to have like some padding between worlds that I invest myself in. If I go too deep into them, I feel like maybe it's going to saturate. I'm not sure. Maybe these are so good, I'm just going to pick up book 2 and 3. And then when I give you my summary at the end of the month, I probably read the entire trilogy. We'll see how this goes. But Mistborn is finally officially on the TBR, and I'm going to probably finish it by next week. Anyways, so then I was like, okay, but I need to have like a lighter read, but like something in my old stacks. We're talking books that are probably 15 to 20 years old at this point, and it's part of the Eberron series. It's a setting in the Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game that is a mix of like steampunk, noir, detective, adventure, pulp. So it's kind of an amalgam of a bunch of cool ideas that was really, really well put together. This is about midway through 6 or 7. There's probably almost 40 books. There's like 35 to 40 books. I kind of sped count near the end. So I'm halfway through of the series, but I read these like 20 years ago because it would have been in the early 2000s, right? So I want to get back to just finishing the series. So I'm going to try to put more of these into my TBR every month until I finish all of them. So I'm going to be working on the Heirs of Ash trilogy. This is book 1, Voyage of the Morning Star. I know nothing about these. They have these airships. It's cool. This is by Richard Wolff. The next one is Flight of the Dying Sun. So it looks like it's going to have a focus on airships or airship crew or something. And then book 3 is Rise of the Seventh Moon. Boom. So why am I going for a trilogy when I just said I'm not going to do the trilogy of Mistborn? Because Mistborn is 700 pages each. And these ones are, the old days, it was like, yeah, 300 pages. They're about 300 pages, 320 tops. I never usually see these D&D paperbacks going more than 320 pages. So I was like, that feels like, that would have been one more Mistborn and a half. So I was like, I can get through a whole other trilogy. So I'm going to try to do that. These are really fast reads for me. And I love Eberron as a setting. I have all of the gaming books for this. I ran an Eberron game for I think it was about 2 years or something like that, possibly. It's really inspiring from a world building perspective. And I cannot wait to go back to Eberron. There's so many things I forget about how the world works, how the cities work, and like the different factions, and there's dragon marks. And so like houses with powers, and it was so good. I remember it being so good. So I'm going to be bringing it back into my TBR. So then I was like, okay, what do I do to leave fantasy for a little bit? And I was like, you know what? I've had a book on my shelf for a long time that I got because it was tied to a video game that I said I would never play. And then the community on my gaming channel made me play it. Well, influenced me to play it, encouraged me to play it. I finally played it in any case, and it was an experience, is all I'm going to say. It was for BioShock. So I got BioShock Rapture. It was a book set in this world. I'm not sure if this is kind of like a prequel, might be what's going on. I don't even remember what the back is. I just know that it's based on the game. It's in continuity of the game. It's canon. I love the trilogy. It's up there in one of my top experiences, even though I said I would never play it because horror games and me do not get along. I get tension headaches. I can't do it, but I did it. And anyways, it's recorded. The LP is out there, and for all 3 games, and it was an extremely enjoyable experience because of the storytelling that happened in that game. That's what got me the most. It would never have been the horror element of it, although that made for an experience, but the way the story was constructed, how the characters played out, I can't spoil anything about the first game because that was a monumental spinneroo, and then just the art direction of that experience, baffling. It was great. It was great. This actually made me pick up a philosophy book, Ayn Rand's philosophy book, because this is very much based on Ayn Rand's philosophies. I was only surface level aware of Ayn Rand and those ideas. And so I ended up finding Ayn Rand's book at the thrift shop, and I was like, okay, let's pick up Ayn Rand as well. Now that is a chunky book. I might have been tempted to read Ayn Rand's philosophy book, treatment book. I'm not even sure what it is. It's thick. It's chunky. And I was going to read it with this, and I was like, I don't think I can do that. Not a philosophy book. That's like too much. The font is small. It's my brain. I love philosophy. That was one of my focuses in university coming out of it, but I was like, I can't do it. I can't do BioShock and a philosophy book, but I'm probably going to get to Ayn Rand maybe this year, because this is hopefully will inspire me once again to kind of get into the ideas in this are awesome. So I'm looking forward to Rapture and to see like what direction they took with this, whether or not they went to the, if it's like a prequel, it's like the breaking down of society that exists in this undersea civilization. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. In any case, so then I was like, okay, where do I go from there? I'm like, what if I read something silly, just something I can like chip away at in between all of these reads, just something I can pick up once in a while, read a couple pages, put it down, and be amused. So I'm going to pick up the Zombie Survival Guide. I also got this at the thrift shop. I'm not sure when, a while ago, but it was like in perfect condition. So I was like, I'm going to pick it up, and I have a faint memory of 25 years ago or so. I worked in an office where a guy likely brought this in. I likely flipped through it. I can't remember if it was this book or another book, or he kept quoting it or something like that. It was back in the early 2000s. So Walking Dead was a huge thing. I was reading all the comics at the time, collecting them. So zombies was all over the place at that time. And I'm near certain that there's going to be stuff in here that likely took place in the Walking Dead graphic novels, etc. So I'm kind of curious to see whether or not that's true. So I'm going to prepare myself with the Zombie Survival Guide by Max Brooks. And I was like, well, if I'm going to be doing that one, I might as well just pick up World War Z, because this was one of the first books I picked up at the thrift shop when I got back into thrift haul hunting. This was about a year and a half ago. And the book is in perfect condition. This isn't a haul video, so I keep going to the perfect condition thing because I love buying used books. Perfect condition. Anyways, I love it. So World War Z, an oral history of the zombie war by Max Brooks. This was, of course, a movie. I didn't watch the movie. I remember seeing the trailers. The trailers looked crazy. But maybe that's actually why I remember ideas about this. It wasn't actually because of Walking Dead. It was because the movie came out, and then I found out the guy wrote a survival book, and the buddy I worked with probably talked about it, and that's probably how that memory comes together. It was 25 years ago, folks. Anyways, I don't know how long this is. I just picked it up because I figure it's thematically appropriate that I picked these both up at the same time and give it a go. I haven't even checked the years of these, but I'm actually curious to see if did he write this first and then Zombie Survival Guide, or did he write this Zombie Survival Guide and then he wrote a book around it, putting all that together. So if you read both of them, there's like an enhanced experience is what I'm hoping I'm going to get out of that. And then based on the first things I said, well, I mean, how does it apply to The Walking Dead? Let's just read the pros, the first book of the pros for The Walking Dead, thrift book, perfect condition. And so I'm going to give this one a shot because it's been sitting on my shelf, probably as old as well as these books. I probably picked this up in the same haul and I saw this. I didn't even know Walking Dead was doing pros books. This is by Robert Kirkman and Jay Bonansinga. Why does that name sound familiar? Was he a producer on the show? I'm not actually sure. That name sounds very familiar. Maybe just because I've seen it on my shelf for so long on the spine. And so I'm not sure. But The Road to Woodbury. I don't know if this is a prequel or if this is like early in the continuity, if this is after, I'm not sure. But I'm very familiar with the series. I love The Walking Dead graphic novels back in the day. I lent half of them out and I never got them back. So it's like more than half of them. It was probably 3/4 of the series. And there are a lot of graphic novels. So those ones are gone now. But I might buy the compendiums at some point, like the 50-issue run tomes, Big Beast collection editions. I might just get those. They're very expensive, so I got to wait for a crazy sale. But I want to get them back in my collection, maybe return to them someday. So in any case, some more zombie action. These feel like they're going to be light reads. Maybe I'm going to be wrong and I'm going to regret this, but hey, it's under 300 pages. I could probably do this in a night if I really focus. Or a weekend, I might be able to do Zombie Survival Guide and Road to Woodbury. I'm not sure. I think that was enough, but I was like, no, because I want to start a project this month, which is going to be on my Manga Delve channel, and it's going to be for Demon Slayer. I'm going to be doing manga reads of this again. What I used to do back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago, I tried a project channel. I ran a channel for a few months as a test and just to get into manga, and Demon Slayer was one of the first series I ever bought, and I ended up doing a manga read for it, which is camera over top, and as I read it, it's kind of like I'm reacting to the read as I go. It's kind of like a reaction video, but for manga reading, and I really enjoyed it. It was probably the most fun channel experience I had, the most fun to produce, the most fun to just involve myself in. And then there was hiatuses and channel changes here and there, and I tried different ways to approach this, and it just kind of fell away, but never because I wanted it to. This never left my mind, and so I'm going to be rereading Demon Slayer 1 as a quick top-down manga read video on that Manga Delve channel. I'll put the link here. You can like check the subscribe button here if you're curious to see how that goes. You can hit the subscribe button for this channel and that channel at the same time because of YouTube's awesome new features that allow for variety content creators to do projects like this that might cross over with their other channels that they got going on. So my hope is to do one of these a week. So I'll be doing book 2 in the second week, book 3 in the third week, and book 4 in the fourth week of April. I'm hoping to keep that cadence around. I have read, of course, Volume 1. I did a reading reaction vlog chapter by chapter for this one on the channel. I've brought back that old video. It's archived in the new channel if you want to check it out. It's very old. It is what it is. But I'm going to be bringing that format back when I read the next 3 volumes in the series over April, and hopefully I can keep up that cadence, but we'll see how it goes. So there's a bit of a production test also going on throughout April. I'm really looking forward to the manga reads again. I really am. So I feel like if I get a cadence going, I'll be able to keep it up, and by doing TBRs here, mentioning those, it might ensure the momentum and hold me accountable to doing the project. I like to mention other stuff that possibly I might roll into, but I think I probably have enough on my plate for April. But if I had time, I'd probably like to get back to the America Falls series by Scott Medbury. Those are available on his YouTube channel as audiobooks, and so they're free. Anyone can go listen to them. But I mean, time is finite, and if I have extra time, I'd like to be able to put time into listening to the Magnus Archives on a secret Magnus Archive reaction channel that is out there right now. It's like in dormant state right now because I'm getting it through the setup phase on the YouTube side. But as soon as I can upload videos that are more than 15 minutes, then I'll be able to launch that series as well. And I'll probably talk about it a little bit here because of the story part of what's going on there. But I'm going to segment it off as a project channel so that fans of just Magnus Archives can go over there and check it out as well. If I get the Manga Delve stuff spun up, then I will likely turn my attention to the Magnus Archives reaction channel next in May. So there's the TBR and a little bit of an update along the way. So we'll see how far I get by the end of the month. I'll catch you there. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.